I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap, and my name is XRB. Yeah, I get everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRB. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I get everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRB. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. Banky unbanked, banky unbanked, banky unbanked now. Banky unbanked, banky unbanked, banky unbanked now. Banky unbanked, banky unbanked, banky unbanked now. Banky unbanked, now banky unbanked. Yeah, everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRB. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I get everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRB. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap, and my name is XRB. I'm faster, I'm more secure than you'll ever be. I'm faster, I'm cheap, and my name is XRB. Everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRB. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I get everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRB. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see. I get everybody by surprise with my money. Everybody by surprise, XRB. Everybody by surprise, see it coming. Everybody gotta just wait and see.
Hello everyone, let's get started. I have no financial interests, I have no sponsored links in my videos, and I don't want donations. And today I will be covering the flywheel model. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there are some people in our community who refer to the flywheel model Ripple had presented as well via the blockchain in payments report, and as soon as you make a reference to that report, then you should understand what that report with the flywheel model is actually trying to explain, and that I will do now here, and I will then later on quickly go into the video made by Brad Kimes, where he thinks he understood the flywheel. What he is talking about may be correct, but it has literally zero correlation or relation to the flywheel model from Ripple. So let's get started. I will put myself up here. So flywheel is in motion. With this presentation I'm trying to explain the flywheel model, and because Brad Kimes is posting or telling about it like it's a theory, I want to make sure that you all understand the difference between a theory and maybe that's better and a model. A theory, I will put the link to this presentation later on in the description of the video. A simple theory, I will just go through the examples. You can read later on what a theory actually is. The examples are quite simple. CO2 emissions will rise global temperature. That's a theory. X or P price always fluctuates. That's a theory. COVID-19 lockdowns will create huge unemployment. That's a theory. Now, might be a well-based theory, but we do not yet have proof. What is a model? And actually you can see it I put a picture in there on the top right hand, this curve. That's a theory that we think how something develops. It gets a model when we can apply, look at the chart on the top right, when we can apply a formula for it. So as soon as we have data based in the past or something, then we can do a correlation between CO2 emissions and temperatures, and then it gets a model. However, recent models show, or actually all models in that particular case with CO2, predict that all ice in the world would melt. However, recent studies have shown that in the Antarctic the ice is actually growing. So all those models are wrong. However, the theory states that CO2 emissions will increase our temperature. TA, technical analysis, that's not a theory anymore, that's a model. RSI is like a relative strength indicator, I think, and MA, the moving average, is just two examples. Those are models how the price will develop in a particular period based on formulas which explain the past. Okay, now when we come to the COVID-19 lockdown, it might produce 10% unemployment in country X based on model A. In another country, it might produce 5% unemployment based on model B. And those models will take into account like how the particular government dealt. The theory is that in each and every country unemployment rises, but a particular model will predict how unemployment will rise in a particular country. Now, when we compare the two, theory versus the model, I will just read the last sentence here. So while the theory is an abstract, hence its name, theory, thought about something we only suspect, we do not have arguments yet to kind of underpin it. The model, however, tries to explain based upon reality how the future of that theoretical abstract thought might look like. Now when we come to the actual flywheel model as presented in the blockchain report, we have to understand what they actually mean with the flywheel, and it's actually even described in the report itself. The spinning flywheel, now hold on, let me quickly bring up the, sorry for that, I quickly have to check, because they had a pretty it was basically explained in the blockchain report. It was basically explained on the page of the flywheel itself. Where do we have it? Here. Flywheels used in heavy industry require significant energy to start spinning, but once they gain momentum, they tend to continue spinning quite easily. And the report itself actually relies pretty heavily on real life data. They have done, to produce the report, quite some surveys across industries to see where the individual industries and participants in the industries are. And they even write in the blockchain report that they use analogy and pace. So it's basically based on known data, because we know the pace in the past, and they try with the analogy of that flywheel. Once it spins, that it kind of continues to spin, and it requires little additional impulse to get it to spin actually even faster. And to illustrate that, I have used this picture with that guy here pulling a bus. He will have a hard time to get the bus from standing to moving. Once the bus is moving, it'll be not super easy because the bus is quite heavy, but it'll work to get it pulling. And he might even be able to accelerate the speed of the bus. So the flywheel is the analogy used in the blockchain reports to understand where the industry is as a whole, and not just XRP. And it's literally not related to how the price of XRP will rise. That's a pure stupid interpretation from Brad Kimes, okay? So he can use it for his theory, but then please stop with the reference to the flywheel model from this payments blockchain for payments report. Okay. Well, basically the rest I explained it myself. Actually, this part here about the car I have tried today with my wife. And it's like I said, if you push a car in neutral gear, it requires a moment until you get it into movement, and then it'll be kind of like, I don't know the English term, a little bit, not delayed, a little bit. You will need to put quite some impulse in it. But once you reach a certain velocity with the car, pushing the car, it's actually quite easy to keep it having that velocity. Okay? And that's what basically the flywheel model in this blockchain for payments report wants to express. Another model would be the bell curve. I have explained the adoption of XRP in particular with the bell curve model in the past. And again, for you to understand, it's a model. If you look on the curve, I don't know, can you see? You cannot see my cursor. But if you look, I write there rolling over, crawling, first steps, walking, running faster, and then you go to athletics school. And all this will happen in a few months, in a little few years, maybe until 15 years. And then once you're kind of at the peak, to be able to run half a second faster on 100 meters, it might take you 2 years of training. So the how the curve rises is actually quite steep, but then on the top it starts to flatten. It's the same with Corona basically. Most countries did have like a steep rise, and now it starts to flatten off, and then there will be some drop off, but until there will be no Corona cases at all anymore, it'll take quite some while. And that's a model, that's not a theory, that's a very generic model, okay? now I wanna quickly cover the kind of errors Brad Kimes is making in his reference to the flywheel theory Ripple is using, even though we all know now it's not a theory because it's actually a model they use try to explain the momentum where we are with blockchain in payments. That's it. No reference to XRP or Ripple products whatsoever. It's really a generic blockchain report. And the first comment to the video of Brad Kimes I would have is, actually let me check, can you hear me all? I hope. Thumbs up, can you hear me? I didn't check for that. Pop out check. Chat. I sincerely hope that you can hear me and I'm not talking 15 minutes into the air. Can you hear me? Thumbs up? Okay, great, thanks. So let me continue. So basically in the video from Brad Kimes, he doesn't know anything about how ODL works. ODL works just via exchanges and not via XRP you have already. And the reason for that is ODL is made to cut costs and not to make someone rich by having XRP already at hand. He could send that to a recipient himself, but then it's not the ODL product from Ripple anymore. Then it's a Ripple, an XRP payment whatsoever. So the buyback won't help because the XRP you would buy back, you would need for something else, but not for a payment with the ODL product from Ripple. That doesn't work like that. I mentioned the reason already, because the reason for ODL is to cut costs and not to make people rich through the fact that they did buy XRP at a low price months before already. Then another failure he makes in his video about the flywheel is he says, well, basically OTC sales won't kind of happen anymore. And in the same time he mentions the pre-allocation theory. And that's pure crap. Pre-allocation, even if it existed, I think it doesn't exist because it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work either way, either by pre-allocating a dollar value to a certain bank or pre-allocating a percentage value. Both may fail depending on where the price is, and that's the reason why it doesn't work. And I mean, you're explaining something like the flywheel theory using an argument, and the next argument you're using actually the argument you used before, which is why something won't happen, and then you use another argument to actually argument. I mean, come on, it's kind of stupid. So that was basically from my side what I wanted to say about the flywheel theory. Basically it's not a theory, sorry about that, it's a model. It's just an example or a try from those guys or people who produced that blockchain in payments report to show the momentum we're in or we will be having. The other very generic model, this bell curve, is kind of almost uniquely applicable to any kind of change which is being adopted, introducing, I don't know, email. Before email we had nothing. And now let me go back to I need to see myself. Before email we had nothing, and then email started getting implemented and many people got to use email. And now there is no new implementation from email anymore because everyone has it already. and this flywheel is showing something similar but with a different kind of notion than the bell curve. The bell curve is more like showing a little bit the adoption rate, if you so want, and the flywheel model is more putting more focus on the momentum, but it doesn't tell literally nothing about like percentages or so who will be using a new technology or so. It just tells about the momentum. Okay, so I really hope that is clear. Now I will go through the questions, and most likely I will discuss Miguel Villas a little bit. I don't know about Miguel Villas yet. I have contacted a guy who knows him, and I'm hoping I'm receiving an update from that guy in maybe tomorrow or early next week. SBI, well, we all can just hope that they really go live in about a week. Gary Brennan, if you understood what I just told about, the flywheel is in motion. It's a model to show the momentum, and this initial impulse momentum to get the wheel started turning, that's done. Don't listen to Brad Kimes. Whatever he talks about how the price may increase in his video may be correct. I really don't want to comment on that, but what it's really a shame that he references the flywheel model Ripple is using in that blockchain reports, and he's trying to explain that model as a theory how price could. That's, I mean, it cannot be more like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel literally ashamed being part of such an idiotic community. I mean, how an idiot can one person alone be? But never mind, let's continue. I was at Gary Brennan. Chicken or egg? Watch the video again. Read the presentation I will put into the description of the video after the live stream. It's not a theory, it's a model. And it has nothing to do with price. It's just a model showing the adoption of blockchain in payment. There is not one mentioning of XRP in the report, and definitely not about price. Whoever read that report and has like a brain who can digest like kindergarten easy illustrations will understand it. So read that report, and then you'll understand. It has nothing to do with XRP price. It's just about the momentum of blockchain in payments in the industry. Of course, we all know which blockchain is gaining most traction and momentum in the payments industry. Elfie, hi Sonja, meine Liebe. Even my wife is showing up. That's cute. Elfie, you nail it. I mean, I basically showed that already with my superhighway theory, and I had a dream lately that Ripple announced 1,000 customers. I think it was a dream. It was really weird, but it felt like super real. And you can be sure that on RippleNet there are way more than 1,000 banks already. Just two numbers. CLS banks, the banks who do the settlement for SWIFT, they have 1 million transactions per day. 1 million transactions per day. In Target 2, let me quickly peek that document, but I'm pretty sure Target 2 has like 340,000 exactly 340,000 payments, and that's about 20% of the global market, the EU, the Euro market. And CLS makes the settlement for SWIFT, and they have 1 million transactions per day. And Rip and Brett Garlinghouse told it twice in the interview with, well, actually once, I think. He said that they're close to 1 million in the interview with Pompliano, like a month before Swell. And Pompliano, that idiot, asked him in like which period, in a quarter, in a month, in a week. That's a daily figure, asshole. And I don't remember what else Brett said in that interview, but it was, I think if I remember properly, he said in the same video that they're like doubling the transactions every quarter. I think that's what he said. That would mean within a year 8 times more transactions. A month later, at Swell, he said that in October 2019 they had as many transactions as in the whole 2018. So in that single 1 month, I don't know how to calculate it, but the increase was from doubling every quarter to like factor 12 every year. And that's like 50% more than what he told a month before. And that's freaking huge. And that's exactly the reason why we will be seeing, as Ailfi 366 writes, millions, and well, maybe not millions transactions, but billions in value who will be transacted. I think the million transactions Ripple has definitely achieved already. On RippleNet, not with XRP, obviously. While Coyote, tell me about that new monetary system. I don't see a new monetary system. The fact, like, it would be the same, like what you kind of infer with that statement is the same example I will be telling now. In Brazil, maybe in other countries as well, I know it from Brazil, there's many cars who can drive on ethanol and on gasoline. Like it's really written on this tank thing to close the tank that you can put in both. And the gas stations actually offer both. What you're implying there, Coyote, is if I'm used to drive with gasoline and then I move over to what did I say? Ethanol, that it's like a new car. It's not a new car. Just something internal is different. It will not change anything. Besides making everything faster and cheaper. But we will not, just by having RippleNet implemented, see new payment product. Maybe intelligent smart contracts platform will bring that. But we as XRP investors are not I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in XRP going high. Replay. So you did have many replays, Lamba. Well, that's kind of very nice compliment. Regarding Miguel Villas, well, basically I mentioned it already. I mean, I don't see it as a problem. First, let me put myself back so that I can see myself. First, it's unconfirmed yet. And until it's really confirmed, I don't go into any speculation. Because it's simply not worth it. There's a few possibilities. He might be sick, he might have cancer and cannot work anymore. If that's the case, I'm really sad for him. I'm wishing him getting well again. But I mean, that would not be, Ripple will and has found in the past already other people who can help in that whole XRP market. Okay? So that reason would not be a reason to start doubting on XRP. A second reason could be that he is receiving a new role function or function description, role description within Ripple. Why? If I leave a company and I have a new job, usually I would update both. That I'm not working in my old company anymore, but I would also put immediately the new job I'm working on. That didn't happen. If I just kind of lost my job because the company doesn't want my work anymore, the argument that I'm thinking that this is not true is a guy in his position, a head of a whole department, has for sure a leave period. I don't know how that's called. Kündigungsperiode, a leave period of at least 6 months. And in November, like less than 6 months back, he said no intention to leave. So by implying that he lost his job, that Ripple doesn't want his work anymore, we would actually we would need to assume that he was lying to us. And actually, he didn't even respond to a particular tweet in that tweet in November. So, I mean, why this happens, maybe it's also an error on LinkedIn, because for some reason that same rumor went around in November. I really don't know why it came. I didn't investigate in that, why that same rumor happened in November. So, and now I'm open for a few questions. More questions. Andrew K. still standing by 4 digits. I mean, my 589 kind of wishful thinking in end of 2018 was based on Jane Ellis' theory, because I knew how the price could rise fast. And I still think it will rise pretty fast. Maybe not within a day, but within a few weeks. How that will work out, I really don't know. However, in 2018, I was doing my calculations with 1% of global market share. And by now, with like 30% of... And that's actually I do. Let me show that to you. I showed the I think I did that in another live stream. Hold on. I think I had top 100 banks analysis. So, and then we go back to here. Then we do a display, capture. Can we? Hold on. So basically what you're seeing here is the green line. This one is, let me show my head so that you know where I am. So the green line here is the assets under management for the top 100 banks, and you see it's like, I don't know how the opposite of exponential is. It's like exponential in reciproc, like 1 divided by the value. Like if the curve would be going up, it would be exponential, but now it goes down. It kind of very steeply drops. So the top, and actually I was discussing that with Manuel, I think a few days back. The first kind of 20 banks down to that level, that hold on, down to here. So the area here, everything underneath that part, that area here, is roughly identical to the rest. It's only a different shape, but it's roughly the same. And the interesting thing is, I could actually even show that to you, because we do have assets under management, and I select the first 20, and then you can see down. No, you cannot see. I have to make the window smaller. Hold on. I hope you can you see that figure down here? The sum of the 20 top banks is 45, I think, billion, because it's million, and the total assets under management is 90. It's actually kind of the proof of what I told before, that the area here underneath this part here down to the 20th largest bank is the same as the rest. And the same basically applies, I'm pretty sure, to amount of transaction and volume in transaction. That was basically what I tried to extrapolate with the orange and the yellow curve, trying to kind of imitate a similar sloping curve for the transactions, and that will bring us basically back to what I think it was Elfie. No, actually I was referring to Andrew K with the 4 digits, because we now have 30% of the top 100 banks, and I think in the first 20 are 7 banks. So from the top 100, by having 30% of those banks, I'm pretty sure we're also pretty close to a 30% of the volume. And this 589 I was seeing as realistic with 1%. So don't get me even started by figures in the 30% global market share. 1,700, 2,500 just won't cut the cake. Mickey B. Fresh, I really don't know. Till I don't get confirmation from my contact who is in contact with Miguel, I won't comment on if it's a rumor or not. I commented before. I mean, working at Polisign and Standard Custody, that just doesn't make sense. He is a guy who specializes in creating and providing liquidity. Michael's hair grew fast. My beard is actually almost longer than my hair. Well, that depends now, Frank Sperano. June timeline. Well, I guess 4 digits might be by June might be a bit overwhelmed. That I think I told if SBI would have gone live early this year. But that way we basically have like 4 months delay. So that would be June, July, September, August. What? June, July, August, September. So maybe by October somewhere we might come close to the 4 digits area. XRP contacts. How do you mean chicken or egg? Lamba, I don't know why they have gone so quiet. Actually, I have a German follower, and he made in the past some quite interesting comments on several of my videos. And that guy, he is not particularly into deep down the rabbit hole research on XRP. He has just a good gut feeling that it was the right thing to invest into XRP. But he observes a little bit like news report. He's reading, like, I don't know, I say some names, I don't know if it's like Financial Times and like papers like that, or he's watching like TV shows where they talk about banks and banking systems and that kind of kind of market review things. And he makes for over a year now very interesting observations that also there no one is really talking about Ripple. Even though like the whole world knows there's nothing better and cheaper than RippleNet. Everyone who heard about it will want to be even without XRP. That XRP will bring an additional 30% or maybe 40% cost reduction at a low volatile XRP price. About that they don't even think yet. They're already super happy with the 30%. Don't get me wrong. Banks are greedy as fuck. They want additional 30% as well. And it'll come. I literally have zero doubt. I think for SPI to getting big in the Asian area, or the Asiatic, I don't know how it's called properly in English. They will need the SPI exchange, and most likely other exchanges in Thailand, in Vietnam, and all those countries around Japan. Also in China, because SPI has connections to China as well, to Russia. They have I think they have invested into some company in Russia. I don't remember if it was a payment company or if it was an exchange. That I don't remember. But they have an investment there. They did do an investment in Bison, the Stuttgarter Börse, one of the second largest stock exchange in Germany, Stuttgarter Börse. They have a Bison exchange, which is just for cryptocurrencies, and SPI made an investment there, and they will need all that in order for their remittance plans via XRP to work out well, because now they're using, I think it's called SPI Remit already for all those countries around Japan, but it's still nostrils, and SPI is big on getting rid of those nostrils. So I'm pretty sure that once there will be a certain kind of volume on the SPI VC exchange, that they will start using it. I mean, hopefully we will see that in an announcement of the yen corridor. But as we all know, some corridors aren't even announced. And I have told that right after as well. Navin Gupta told me there will be less and less announcements to us because we are not target group. It's none of our business. Asian. Thank you, Gaurav. Well, maybe we'll reach by October. If SPI now in weeks time goes live, and might take a few days until we see the exchange listed on CoinMarketCap and stuff like that, then did I want to say? Then I wouldn't be surprised if we see by the end of May, early June, $1-2 already, maybe even more, because we know from the bull run 2017, once the price starts rising, all idiots will think, now the price is going up, now I have to buy. Obviously they left out then already quite some profit, but that's not our problem. And I mean, in 2017 there was literally no use case, it was just hype. And now that hype, and in that respect the flywheel theory of Brad Kimes could have some truth in it, but not in the way he explains it. But by having price going up through a lot of new XRP investors, and then hype being created through the rising price. That will actually introduce automatically more liquidity on in already existing channels, ODL channels, and as we all know, liquidity begets liquidity, and that could bring that flywheel to spin even faster. Now I'm just talking about price of XRP, not talking about that XRP price will develop itself in the way a flywheel is working, because that was just a model used by Ripple to show how the industry adopts blockchain in payments. Idiots, 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 idiots. Ralph Raymond, there is so many idiots. That was actually, I was really thinking many times, talking with my wife before I kind of shut down my regular live streams. Should I shut down? Why? That whole presence in social media is tearing my soul apart. It uses so much energy to deal with idiots, because I cannot stand it when someone kind of explains something and uses, and some of those idiots even use arguments with which they actually 40 I don't know, like reinforce my statement and not theirs, but they don't even realize it. And to have to deal, I always feel the urge to correct those people. If someone comes and tells me 1 and 1 is 3, I'm trying a way to figure out how I could explain to him that 1 and 1 is only 2 and not 3. Because I think everyone deserves the right to know the truth. And when something obviously has a truth or reality, then it's kind of pretty stupid, disgusting, and it uses me so much energy. And I have been thinking of giving up my total social presence, but I didn't. So I'm still here. Well, Ryan McBride, everyone is telling that basically they thought the SBI would go live already early this year in January. And then obviously there came an additional amendment to the regulation in Japan, which made another delay for that regulation to become active, which obviously it does beginning of May. However, if that means like 1st May SBI goes live, that I don't know. I really hope so, that they will be quite quick, but please don't put all your hopes on 1st of May. It might take a week or so until we see some effect. I don't think it'll be like super immediate. Like the minute they open it for everyone. Could be, but I really don't know. Bob Ross, Ralph Raymond invited us. The guy from Coinfield and Sologenic. What was the tweet from David that convinced you? Convinced me for what? I have here, once the price of XRP reaches a certain value, not amount, you won't need to convert it to fiat in order to use it. Yes, you will need to convert it to fiat, Lambi. Forget about the idea that you will be going to, I don't know, Costco's or so and buy your groceries with XRP. Even though you may think you do, you will not. Like all those XRP investors and other crypto investors who are using one of these payment services I have pointed out months in the past, some of my followers are really more into that. There is a few companies who offer kind of like credit cards, which you can like a prepaid credit card. You move XRP on the account of the company, and then your card is filled, and then you go to a grocery store and pay, and you think you pay with XRP, but you don't. Trust me, the grocery store will not accept XRP. They still accept dollar, but the company issuing the card for you will deduct the amount of XRP from your account in order for them to be able to pay the appropriate amount of dollars to the grocery stores. And it never has been the idea to be a global money. The scaling of XRP won't make it suitable for like paying everyday stuff in XRP. Simply not. It would need to scale by factor, I don't know, 30 or 40. I think Visa has around 60,000 payments per second. But I don't know if that's just in a particular currency area or worldwide. I'm assuming it's just 60,000 in a particular currency area, so Swiss franc, euro, something like that. And the XRP has 1500. I know now you wanna tell me, but payment channels have 60,000. Yes, they do, but you yourself will not be able to open a payment channel, and then it's just for one transaction you do. So it's basically useless because you need several transactions already on the XRP ledger to open the payment channel, and for just one payment, that's as stupid as someone telling me if I pay something in Switzerland with Swiss francs, XRP will be used. Why should I need to convert in an already super efficient system something into XRP, lose the spread, send the XRP over, lose the transaction fee, and then convert it back to Swiss francs, lose again the spread, and have the Swiss franc. It won't make it faster because it's like two sell steps involved, so it will be slower than just Swiss francs to Swiss francs, and it will cost more. So everyone trying to tell you that this will happen, tell him, no, it won't. Local or domestic payment rails are in most cases fast enough, and if not, RippleNet without XRP can handle it. But there is no XRP needed. XRP is a bridge currency, and a bridge currency you need if you switch from one value, from one denomination in value to another denomination. Could be Bitcoin to US dollar, could be US dollar to euro, could be Apple stock to to US bonds, could be anything like that. As soon as there is different denominations of value, then XRP can and will be involved, maybe in 5 years from now. But not as long as you pay in the same denomination as the recipient will receive. For that ILP without XRP is simply good enough, or RippleNet. I mean, David Schwartz had a tweet, I don't know when it was, I think it was 8 months back maybe. A guy contacted him asking him about the friend of his who is working on a payment system which will be ready 21. If he could introduce that friend to David Schwartz, telling him about maybe integrating that payment system from that friend of the guy with RippleNet. And David's answer was 21 doesn't fit the strategy of Ripple. Well, chicken and egg, this blockchain podcast they will be doing. I mean, Brad Garlinghouse and also David Schwartz told it over and over and over again. It's not just about XRP. It's like the whole ecosystem has and will rise. That doesn't mean that each digital coin will rise in price, but the ecosystem as such. Forget about the fact that each and every blockchain has a coin. Corda is using blockchain smart contracts without the coin. That's the reason why I always say there is no need for smart contract coins, tokens. You can do that without the coin. A healthcare blockchain which keeps track of your health record, or an educational blockchain which keeps track of all of your educational titles. Why have a coin there? There is no need. Or this property like book in Switzerland, each village has a Grundbuch where all lands where there is a house or no house on it is written whom is the owner. And then is additional information like the size and the number of the parcelle, as we call it, all that kind of stuff. And each village keeps its own Grundbuch, which makes it freaking complicated if you sell a house in one state, one canton in Switzerland, and buy a house in another one, because you have to go to two villages and tell them, here I sold and there I bought. Whatever. If we had a nationwide Grundbuch in a blockchain, then all that wouldn't be required anymore. And David will be talking about everything. I mean, why did they invest in Ubri? Not just because they want XRP to rise fast. Ripple is really interested in blockchain in general. That they own very much a lot of XRP and will be freaking rich. It's just a side effect. But Ripple is on a mission, and the mission is on one hand is this internet of value, but on the other hand they really have a deep desire to support all those other blockchain related stuff. So forget about that, chicken and egg. They will not talk how Dash or Monero will be used in the future. They might talk to Vitaly Buterin, but more in general terms, like maybe what Devi is about or stuff like that. But they will not discuss prices or anything. Thank you, Black Hammer. So, we crossed an hour. Last question, and in the meantime, it was, wow, 100 viewers. That's not too bad. I want to thank you guys for showing up, and most likely I will be explaining this flywheel thingy in German as well, but I don't know when. Maybe in the coming days. I really don't know yet when. I want to thank you for your continued trust and persistence and support. Hodl strong, please. I mean, everyone who tries, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still, XRP could still be a failure. I give it like 0.001% chance, but I don't say there is no chance it'll be a failure. It's just very, 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 very small. And anyway, when you talk to like grown-up investors, they usually tell you to diversify. Why? Because they want to de-risk their investment. Instead of risk losing with one asset, they diverse so that maybe others will rise in the same time. The side effect of that is the de-risking is also de-profiting. And if you want to have the full profit, then you need to bet on just one horse. Betting on each of the 10 horses in the race won't make you the winner, because as much money as you will win, as much you will lose betting on the others who won't win. And for me, the moment I heard and read about XRP, it was for me, I wrote it in a tweet today or yesterday. For me, it was like crystal clear. If in my whole life there is one possibility to become freaking rich and help others enjoy who have less luck in their lives, my riches, then it'll be XRP. That's why I'm all in. All or nothing, and I give it like 0. Like the probability that it'll be nothing is kind of like 0. So no more question. In that way, I will say goodbye and stay tuned for a eventual future additional English live stream about whatever topic I feel the community needs some education about. Take care. Stay well. Stay at home. Be well.